The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the bonus show. The world has been shaken by the potential repercussions of the chess match that Pat and I will be playing on Wednesday to sort of kick off the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And we will have more of that upcoming. But it really, I think that I would lose confidence. I would lose the confidence of the audience if I were to lose Pat, and it could actually be the end of me as the host, and you might be taking over the show if I were to lose.
Yeah, and I'm ready. I've been training all weekend. My chess rating is way up now. I'm right around the grandmaster level at this point.
Sure.
So I think you really have your work cut out for you, and I think the audience will enjoy the game that they're going to watch on Wednesday.
Yes, that'll be by popular demand. Basically, the consensus was don't put that on the audio version of the bonus show because it'll be really boring to listen to. So we're going to have like a regular bonus show for Wednesday, but then we will have the chess match just on the video version. So is that correct, Pat? People who want the chess match, they can go find it online. We're
doing all that we can here. We try to satisfy everyone. Usually we fail at doing that and actually satisfy no one, and everyone gets pissed off. But I really, if you're going to complain about this, people in the audience, I don't have any sympathy for you. I think that we found the right solution here.
I think we did. And it'll be at the end, so you can also skip it altogether. Okay, Joe Biden did a town hall Friday night, and he was asked, who would you consider picking for vice president? And what about women that you might like for vice president? And Joe Biden said that he's not sure who he would pick, but that there are lots of women who are qualified. And he named, number one, the former assistant attorney general who got fired. He was referring, of course, to Sally Yates. By the way, there are people, Pat, who are worried that he couldn't name a lot of these people, that he was just referring to them. But okay, we'll deal with that later. The woman who got fired, that's Sally Yates. The woman who should have been the governor of Georgia, that's a reference, of course, to Stacey Abrams, who arguably maybe should have been the governor of Florida and lost because of of Georgia. Yes, not Florida, Georgia. And then said the two senators from the state of New Hampshire, referring to Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, both Democrats from the state of New Hampshire. So this was interesting in a lot of different ways, Pat. Number one, it was interesting because once again, he seemed to be struggling to find the names of some people. And there are more and more discussions about, is Joe Biden like, okay, cognitively? That's not super interesting to me. The most interesting thing to me was that a lot of Tulsi supporters were furious. How could he not say that Tulsi Gabbard is the person that would be qualified? And I was not hugely surprised that she did not make that list.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard now is kind of painting herself as the villain in the Democratic primary. I don't know if you saw the SNL skit on it all, but she was basically painted as Cruella de Vil.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the perception of who she is right now. And just given that Tulsi Gabbard is attacking Hillary Clinton, certainly Hillary Clinton started it, but just on an optics level, the fact that Tulsi Gabbard is going after Hillary Clinton, I think that makes her not so viable as a choice anymore for Joe Biden as VP. But yeah, it's interesting to see Joe Biden playing this identity politics here. Like he understands that he has to choose a woman as his vice president. But
you think so?
It
so
seems a little
you think that he's actually you think that for sure he believes that he just needs to pick a woman, period.
He's basically said as much. But I don't know. I don't even like this conversation yet because it's presumptuous. It assumes that he's going to be the nominee when we don't know that for sure yet. And also it presumes that these women that he's floating as his potential VP want to be his VP in the first place. And we don't know that either.
We don't know that. But I do think that it's okay to mention people that are qualified. And I don't have any problem with him not checking to say, hey, could I mention you as a qualified person? But I do think that it's certainly a little presumptive because it is so early. That being said, this is usually, I mean, listen, at this point in time, we usually wouldn't still have 10 people on the stage. And it would start to become a question of all the candidates. Who are you sort of thinking of, or who would be the type of person that you would like as your running mate? Even though I agree before a single ballot's been cast, it's probably too early. Now, let me throw something else in here. I get a lot of emails from people who say, Bernie was endorsed by Tulsi Gabbard back in 2016. And I like Bernie and I like Tulsi. This is other people speaking. And I really think Bernie might pick Tulsi as his running mate if he were to be the nominee. What do you think about that? I'm not so sure that Bernie would look to Tulsi Gabbard.
I think he'd be more likely to look at Elizabeth Warren, right? I
Really?
mean, there are plenty other good options that Bernie has at his disposal, like good, solid progressives in the party. They don't necessarily have to be people currently running for president. They don't even have to be necessarily people who are in political office right now. I don't really see the benefit to choosing Tulsi, especially with all the baggage that she has attached to her. I think he would go with someone else.
Yeah, I mean, there's the argument to be made that Warren appeals to a similar contingent and Tulsi appeals to like a center-right contingent. So maybe in a battle against Trump, it would be useful. But I do think that at this point, the baggage that would come with her would probably outdo that benefit. But who knows? This is why I don't like talking about VP picks this early. And so let's not do it anymore. But at least for today, although we did get some names from Joe Biden. Here's an interesting bit of news. Milk sales are down. And there's been a reflexive reaction to this, which is, oh, it's because of all of the plant-based milk substitutes that milk sales are down, like oat milk and soy milk and almond milk. And what am I missing? There's other kinds.
There's rice milk.
Yeah.
There's too many to even name, but I think we could probably come up with a list of 6 or 7 of them.
We could. And it appears that this is not actually the reason. It seems as though still the decline in milk sales is greater than the increase in the still relatively small market that is alternative milk products. It seems that what a lot of it is that on a calorie basis, there are people looking to instead have coffee or bottled water or tea or various sports drinks, which it's questionable exactly. A lot of those sports drinks are loaded with sugar and preservatives. The question of health is definitely a question mark around it. But it actually seems, Pat, that it is less because of the direct competition from alternative milks and more because of, number one, people interested in other types of drinks, but also overall dairy sales are not down. That is what is very interesting. Cheese and butter sales are up, and total dairy sales are roughly equal.
Yeah, I thought maybe it had to do with some sort of combination of things, like there are more vegans out there now, and also there are more people who think that maybe milk isn't the best for their digestion or their skin, so that's why they're getting away from it all. That's just my theory on all of this. Of course, I don't drink milk, I guess for 2 reasons. One, because I'm not a cow, and one, because I'm not a baby. So I'm not going to be having any milk anytime soon. And I think other people are following along that path, but it's just hard to come down on the reason as to why that is. It seems to be a multitude of factors.
Yes, but and again, interestingly, if the cheese and butter consumption being up raises more questions about whether people even fully understand that those are products that come from milk. But that's a separate question. I want to believe, Pat, that all Americans know that cheese and butter come from milk, but we've been surprised before about what people do and don't know.
Yeah, and you're still on the milk, right? I mean,
my goodness.
I think you used to say that you did whole milk, and now you're onto the 1%. What changed your mind?
I am so unsure about this. I used to always just drink 1 or 2% because I thought, I'm just kind of like, I'm moderating in general, right? I eat a balanced diet. Skim milk seems extreme. Whole milk seems like just too many calories for no reason. So I'm going to go with 1 or 2%. Then I read, actually whole milk products are healthier, even though they're higher in calories. They keep you full longer and it's not bad for your health. It's like, it's okay. So then I was like, okay, I'm on whole milk now. Then I read more stuff that says that doesn't seem to be the case. I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So right now I'm just basically on 1 or 2% milk. And I don't know what's best. What I do know is that I can't make skim milk cappuccinos. There's just not enough there, and the milk doesn't froth in the correct way that I'm used to. And that's been a real struggle. But 1, 2 whole, I honestly have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Well, if you're going for frothiness, I take it that these plant-based milk alternatives aren't going to do it for you. You got to stay with the cow's milk for now.
Course.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems so like we can have these alternatives that take way less resources to produce. Instead, we go with cow's milk, which requires us to raise these cows to 2,000 pounds and, to continually feed them and continually milk them. Like, doesn't it seem like we could just cut down on the supply chain altogether and like lower our environmental costs if we all just switch to plant-based milks?
Well, but that would be disgusting. That's the only problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but otherwise, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. No, listen. I mean, I like the excretions of cows. That's just I've said it before. And when I travel internationally, I seek out various cheeses and different things, and that's part of the lifestyle right now. But I'm not going crazy. You know, I basically don't eat red meat anymore, 5 times a year maybe. On a week-to-week basis, my poultry consumption is down. I am vegetarian many days of the week. That includes eggs and milk in my diet. And it does seem as though, now what is interesting is that even though the alternative milk market has grown significantly, it's still not that big.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't try to be like too self-righteous with the vegan stuff because I know it's annoying. But my favorite thing to do is to refer to milk as secretions,
Yes.
And to refer to eggs as ovulations, and to refer to meat as either flesh or body parts. I think that really gets people in the mindset that maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
but that's just my tactic.
I know a lot of vegans who have lost friends for using those terms, but that doesn't seem to be a concern. And did I say excretions or secretions? I hope
You
I
said
said
excretions, but I think both are acceptable.
I don't go around looking for cow excretions when I travel internationally. Let me correct that. But French cheeses are absolutely delightful. Okay, big news out of Tesla. Just for kicks, I'll disclose that I am a shareholder of Tesla, although only to half the degree that I once was after I panic sold half my stock when Elon Musk smoked pot with Joe Rogan and the board of directors went cuckoo. So I did panic sell half of it, but it's okay. There is a new all-electric cybertruck that Elon Musk what would be the word? Unveiled, I guess, last week. It looks extremely futuristic. It's wedge-shaped. I encourage people to check it out. I have to be honest, I absolutely love this thing. And I know a lot of people saw it, Pat, and they're like, this looks stupid. It's ridiculous. It looks like it's straight out of a movie. I think that's the whole point. This is getting so much attention. These vehicles look super futuristic. I just love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a cool DeLorean. I think it looks like what you would think a futuristic car would look like if you crafted it in the 1980s.
Right.
Like, not if you took a futuristic car based on our what cars look like now, but what they looked like back then, like 30 years ago or something like that. And I love the angles of it. I like how it's not rounded in the front in the way that so many cars are nowadays.
Sure.
I think it looks cool. Unfortunately, the unveiling didn't go all that well because they wanted to show that this thing was like well armored and it had these like indestructible glass windows. But then they threw some rocks at it, which I guess they were just anticipating that the glass wouldn't break. And on both attempts, the glass broke.
Well,
it didn't completely cave in.
Yeah, my understanding was that what happened wasn't really that bad in the sense that the glass spidered and shattered, but it didn't fall in, which I thought was the point of tempered glass, which is it will, it can't, if you throw a huge stone at it, it's not going to bounce off. But the idea is the stone won't go through the glass and the glass won't break inwards, which I think did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, that did happen. It didn't penetrate the glass. I guess you would have to go get those windows fixed, which isn't all that great, but it's certainly better than it crashing through the window.
Sure.
Although it didn't look like the person throwing the rock or whatever hit the window, threw it all that hard. So maybe they do have to go back on to the drawing board on this.
So I actually think, to be serious for a moment, I think one of the greatest things that Tesla has done is not the cars themselves, but it's the fact that it has pushed so many other manufacturers to now put out completely electric plug-in vehicles, I believe significantly faster than they would have were it not for Tesla's existence. You now have the Nissan Leaf, although I don't know if that's still out. There's a Chevy Volt plug-in. Audi has an e-tron and maybe a number of different vehicles coming. BMW, I think, is going to have like a third of its line or something within a couple of years will be plug-in electrics. There's a Hyundai plug-in electric a friend of mine has. You've got the Polestar vehicles coming out, which are sort of based on a Volvo frame. I think that is, you don't even have to like Tesla's cars or Elon Musk, but I think that one of the great benefits has been how it has pushed other manufacturers to move in the direction of electric.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Nissan Leaf. I remember when that came out, it could only go 40 miles at a time. I'm sure those numbers are up now. But we thought maybe these aren't all that great because who wants to buy a car that you can only drive for 40 miles at a time? You can't go any length of distance. You can't go on road trips, anything like that. We're far beyond that now, and it didn't even take that long. And also, when I first saw the word Cybertruck, I was expecting more of like a tractor trailer type thing. That's interesting. Once we have autonomous tractor trailers, like what are those going to look like? I bet they're going to look really futuristic.
Those are already actually being driven in Nevada. They have. I think for right now they are basically normal trucks, but they have software in them, and I believe you still need a human driver, of course, to be sitting in the vehicle. But those are already being tested. I think it's up near Calgary in Canada. I could be wrong. Maybe it's somewhere in Alberta, and also in rural Nevada. That's coming as well. For now, though, they are just modified normal trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking that I'm looking towards the future, but really I'm looking at the past because we already have that apparently.
That's exactly right. Pat is waiting for things that have already taken place. And when I tell him about it, it's like he was just transported further into the future merely by me telling him, oh, that thing already exists. So very exciting when that happens on the bonus show. All right, that does it for today. The plan this week, new show and bonus show tomorrow. New show and bonus show Wednesday. During the bonus show, there will be the chess match with Pat. And then Thursday, Friday, we will just be off for the Thanksgiving holiday. And then back at it I guess it'll be December 2nd next Monday. Very quickly moving towards the first Democratic primaries.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.